Hi, this is Kaery with Kaery Concealed in the Active Self-Protection Extra channel. And today I have with me a special guest, Miss Sarah VanAcker from the Boise area. And today, this is the first in a series. So she's my first person to interview for this. You were my first Aspect graduate interview. You're my first one for this. So the title of this series will be Your Concealed Carry Journey to Becoming Your Family's Secret Service Detail. So we'll ask Miss Sarah those questions when we come back.
Today's sponsor is Bond, a personal security platform and a very useful tool between everything is fine and calling 911. It's the I'm uncomfortable button that gives you and your loved ones instant on security agents so you're never alone. Bond agents engage and deter perps who want no witnesses. They have a 100% track record deterring crimes of opportunity because it's like installing a can of OC spray on your phone. It's for when you can't carry tools and for your loved ones who won't. Check out Bond's special ASP discount at the link below.
Okay, welcome back. Well, our first question in our How Did You Become Your Family's Secret Service Detail? Tell me a bit about your journey to becoming your own prepared protector and why did you want to do it?
Okay.
What did you do it and what did you do? Oh, what did you do? Okay, I said what do it. Why did you want to do it? What did you do to do it? And then how?
Great. I love telling this story. This is my favorite story to tell.
I don't know that I've ever heard this,
I'm very excited. So I was a stay-at-home mom. I had gotten my degree, but I got remarried and we blended families. And so there were 4 young kids at home and decided to stay at home with them. My husband traveled a lot for business. And my best friend at the time had been taking some self-defense classes at a facility where they did scenario training, force-on-force type stuff with the simunitions.
Yeah.
And she really enjoyed it and was learning a lot and convinced me to come with her to take a basic pistol class.
Wow.
And I thought, I was familiar with rifles, I'm a hunter, and that was
Avid
fine.
hunter.
And my husband would leave me, he left, it's in my memory, he would leave me a Governor, a Smith & Wesson Governor, a revolver, big revolver, that I had taken out in the desert and shot a few times, and it was big and crazy, but he would leave it in the closet for me whenever he left for self-defense. In hindsight, that's just
awesome.
so
It's awesome he left you something.
Yes. But I took that basic pistol class, and in that class, I'm really glad I took that class because they did bring about some what-if scenarios.
Okay.
You know, are you your own protector? What are you going to do in this situation? And it made me think, okay, well, I have 4 young kids at home. They have no idea what to do if something bad happens, if somebody kicks down my door. Yeah. I'm not going to have time to run to my closet and figure out how to use this revolver. And it just, a light turned on. And so this company was membership based, and so I joined and got to train with them for 4 times a month. And all kinds of different scenarios.
Dang, so right out of the bucket,
yeah,
you were
It was great.
training.
I got
That's
my
really cool.
CCW, which I thought was just amazing. And we did live fire training. They had a big warehouse set up and with a town kind of, so you would do some scenario training. And it was just so eye-opening to me because you have all these scenarios in your head. I'm going to do this. And it was just really interesting to see how people actually reacted in these situations.
It's eye-opening.
Even knowing that it's training and not real, just to see what people do was really intriguing to me, and that's what made me continue doing. I did that for 3 years, for 4 times a month.
Holy cow, that's a lot of training.
Trained a lot, and it got me really enthusiastic about shooting. In hindsight, I still really wasn't shooting very much, but I was shooting and active.
And running the gun.
Yeah, and then as the kids got older, local range was opening, and so I decided, since the kids were getting older, that I would go apply there and just, sweep floors or whatever. And they hired me on in their warehouses doing shipping and receiving for quite some time. And about 9 months to a year in, I was enthusiastic about shooting. They asked me if I wanted to start instructing, to learn how to instruct.
Wow.
And they really encouraged that, and had me do the NRA classes and things of that sort. I was really timid going in.
Sure.
I really nervous, did not have any confidence at all. But thankfully had a lot of really good people guiding me along the way. So as I learned from them, I became a better shooter, learned a lot more, and it really just developed. Once I started at the range and started teaching, it just kind of snowballed, and it went faster and faster. I helped with a women's group we had there. We did all kinds of training with them, and then started working with another guy who is the academy director there, and that's where Range Master came into play. At that point, I had taken the NRA course and the USCCA instructor course, which were fine, but we took that Range Master class, and that was all she wrote. That was really, it all just kind of it exploded after that. That was such a great experience, and continued to took all 3 Range Master instructor courses, and met some really good people, and then went into Aspic and met Neil, and it just really developed from there. And thankfully the range was really encouraging with that, and they helped send us to all those classes.
So awesome.
It changed my life completely, and it's brought me exactly to where I am now, which is just so mind-blowing to me. If you had told me I would be here 10 years ago, there's no way I would have believed you at all. But and then as far as home protection goes, as I started taking those classes, you really kind of you hear a lot of funny things in the shooting world, and learning about all the myths and misconceptions. It really developed me as a home protector, and what I was doing right and wrong, and as far as gear and equipment, and just what the family knows, and so it's really, the whole family's a lot more aware of protecting themselves, and knowing we live out in a rural area, and we know that we're our own first responders, and this was stuff, none of it I knew before. I was one of those who was just, I would call the police and they would save me, and so it's really, I feel a lot more confident now in knowing that at least I have the tools to help if something, God forbid, does happen.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So how did you pick your first tools for your journey, and what did you pick, if you are willing to share, like just OC or just a firearm?
I was scared of mace. Mace freaked me out. I was always afraid I was going to spray it the wrong way, and I knew nothing about it, so I didn't get mace for the longest time. So I started with my Springfield XD Mod 2, researched the heck out of it. For reasons I really still can't explain, I didn't want a Glock, because maybe I thought the Glock guy mentality was too much for me or something. I'm not sure.
Or maybe the military or law enforcement connotations.
Yeah, could be.
Back then, even, it seemed like in the training community, it was the Mill and LE guys that...
Get a Glock!
Yeah.
But I got my XD and was really proud of my XD. It did fine. I got, as far as holsters and stuff went, since I was working at a range, I got a lot of comped holsters.
Oh, sure. That's pretty cool.
From local guys.
So you could try different stuff.
Yeah, and I did get to try stuff. In hindsight, a lot of the holsters and a lot of the items that I thought were great were not so great.
Sure. You learn as you go.
Yeah, I still have my box full of old holsters. I don't know why. But
we can't get rid of them. I mean,
just nostalgic, I guess. So I started with that XD, and then I moved on to, I bought my 320 and started learning more about gear and stuff as well. One of my first holsters was a sticky holster.
Yep.
I was thinking it would be great to hide in my pocket and it would stick.
and it's sticky.
Yeah, it did exactly what it said it would. So I wouldn't.
And then it didn't.
I don't know everybody was thinks that at some point though. And then just learning about what to look for in certain holsters, and that there are a lot more manufacturers out there, and there's all kinds of different gear. You're not stuck with one certain kind of gear, and what to have as far as safes, and how to store your gear, and the proper way to store it, clean it, and all that stuff just kind of developed as we went along. I was fortunate to work at a range.
Yeah, that's a neat place to be able to work as you're growing in your journey.
Yeah, so I learned a lot in that aspect as the retail, what was available, and cost, and while getting the training.
Yeah.
And so learning what was good and what was bad. And it was very eye-opening in learning that in most retail stores, with the exception of a few, you're going to get, as far as gun stuff goes, what they can get from a distributor, which is generally mass-produced and not necessarily the highest quality stuff. And that was very eye-opening for me. And it is for a lot of people, too. It's very frustrating for a lot of people. Well, what am I supposed to do then? Well,
yeah, when students are like registering for one of my live fire classes, it says they need a holster, and so invariably the day before, 2 days before, I'll get an email or a text asking, hey, what store do I go to get a holster for my gun? And where I happen to live, there aren't any that sell anything that would be considered a holster for safety purposes and that would work well in a class like that. And it's tough. And like, what do you mean? I mean, they're really frustrated.
It's super frustrating.
Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Wait, you mean the store I bought my gun from doesn't carry
The gun store.
Yeah, doesn't carry a holster that meets the, I call it a hat holster, the hat criteria. Hold the gun securely, blah blah blah. You know, I won't go through it here. I'll spare you that. We'll do that another time.
We'll learn it another day.
Yes. All right. So actually, you already answered the question. Has your gear approach training changed along your journey?
Oh,
And you
absolutely.
said
Yeah.
yes.
And it'll continue to do that too. I expect it to. Right now I'm wrestling with my Enigma holster. I just got a sport belt for it. And
Yes. Do you like your
Trying to
you
get that
ran, oh, that's
adjusted.
right, because you were running on the belt. I forgot about that. Yep, we talked about that. Yeah, the sport belt changed it, like made it possible for me to. I think it's just my body's weird or I'm picky, but I couldn't make it stay snug with
Yeah.
the regular one.
Yeah, it would slide.
Yeah, and I think it had to do with my like square hips or something. But anyway, everyone else I know has fine with it. But when I got the sport belt, changed everything.
Yeah, so far it's been great. Just needs a few tweaks and
Yeah,
then it's
very
back
cool.
to business. Yay.
I'm excited to hear how that works for you too.
Excited.
All right, 2 things that would have smoothed or shortened your journey had you known them at the beginning.
Oh gosh, the holsters thing was a big one. If someone had told me at the very beginning the holster situation, I think that would have changed things. And I would like to say the better advice on guns would have been nice, but there's so many people giving you advice.
Right,
at
and
that
how do
point.
you know what's good and what isn't at that point?
And then how do you learn what is good and bad? And it's an overwhelming process
It
at
is.
first, and I think everybody has to go through it. But the best advice I could have been given would be to take training from a wider variety of trainers, because I was really local.
Sure.
And that's fine.
And you're like 3-ish years with the one
Yeah.
person.
And so you have 2 or 3
getcha.
instructors teaching you the same thing. And when I started taking like the national level
Yeah.
instructors, just that changed so much, so much. And
Definitely
traveling
expands
around.
horizons.
Yeah, and it's not cheap.
No.
And it took time, but it just made all the difference in the world. It was
Worth
a
it?
very big deal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if you can't get, then that you go and travel all the time, vetting your instructors a lot more. Knowing how to vet an instructor is a really big deal. I wish I had been able to do that more.
We should film another video on that, how to vet an instructor, like a 5-point checklist or something, because gosh, that's tough. I mean, I hear horror stories sometimes. It just breaks my heart when, they'll come, and sometimes they'll even be in a class and like you'll see tears coming down their eyes, and because they feel like, oh, this is what I was looking for, and she's
not as
not
impossible.
a dictator. She's not yelling
No
at
knife hands
us.
in this class.
She's a normal citizen like me,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So.
And I get that a lot too. The look of just relief
Yeah.
when they realize that you come from the same background, basically.
Yep.
No,
We are the
that's
same.
huge. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I think Miss Jamie Green is the one that says it to her students this way. I'm going to butcher this. Sorry, Miss Jamie. She says something along the lines of, to her brand new student, or brand new to shooting, we're the same. I just left on my journey a little before you did. So of course I'm where I am before you're there because I started before you did. But it doesn't mean you won't be here.
Exactly.
Also, and I think that's what a great way to say it, because we are the same. We're exactly the
Absolutely.
same. There might be one little difference, and that is this one sliver of life. But the rest of it, we're so similar.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have the same fears and anxieties and
Yeah.
lack of knowledge. I think I get that a lot because I come from the hunting background and knew about rifles and stuff like that. People assumed that I knew a lot about pistols, and no, I had no idea. We had pistols, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything about them, what they were, and other than they were a pistol.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
And your depth of knowledge of rifles is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing.
I have help.
You have qualified help, but you've taken the time to learn it, so that's a cool part. Okay, a purchase decision you'd like to erase from your journey.
I would like to erase that sticky holster. I regret that. I think everything else is such a learning process.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go through some of the mistakes. It's just like life. You turn it into a deep thought. It's if I hadn't done this or made this stupid mistake or bought this
true.
dumb thing, then I wouldn't know. And so it's
That's
all
true.
just
That's
learning.
very true.
So I can only regret so much.
Yeah.
go kick rocks for a little bit and then I'll feel better.
I like how you said that. That's true, because those regrets are part of our learning journey.
Yeah.
And
If I hadn't made those mistakes, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
veered off to learn something different. So.
yeah, good stuff. All right, last question. When friends or family find out that you are a prepared protector or Secret Service for your family, and they ask how they can learn the same, to do the same, what do you tell them?
I tell them to start small, take the local classes, take the basic pistol class. You can find a pretty reputable instructor for basic stuff, and just start there. Don't worry about buying all the gear. That's probably the biggest thing I see is, well, what kind of, I don't have a gun.
Yeah, what gun should I go buy before I take my first class?
There's a lot of instructors. In fact, most instructors that I
Yes.
know of are happier if you don't have a gun,
Yes.
and then they
Oh
can
my
kind of
gosh.
guide you into it. And guns are expensive, and you don't want to buy a crappy gun that shoots terribly and hurts your hand and ruins your experience. So
And then ruins your experience, and you never want to go back.
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
can't tell you how
Why
many
would you?
people came with little LC yell stop there, but anyway, you know what I'm
baby
talking
guns.
about, yeah. And I mean, and they were miserable.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, I would have something they could use. And I just shudder to think, you know, I know what I would have done if I'd have started with that, and I probably wouldn't have.
oh, if this is shooting, I don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly.
That's- yeah.
No, thank you.
So yeah, taking those little basic classes and taking more than one, something beyond a CCW class. CCW classes are great, but they're usually basic and just do the state mandated stuff.
Yeah.
And I told people a lot when I was teaching them, it's not a shooting class. You might do some shooting, but it's more on how to avoid conflict rather than here's how to
Yes.
be a better shooter.
And what to do afterward if, God forbid, you do have to
Yeah.
use force of some
So
kind.
it's a great class, but it's not a shooting class, and you need to take the shooting classes to be a better shooter.
I remember when Idaho, I shouldn't have said Idaho, but anyway, I remember when
The state we're in.
the enhanced permit came out. And I remember when I read the shooting qualification, and it says 99 rounds.
Yeah, it's 98, and the only reason
98.
for it is because that's what Florida required.
Okay.
I believe at the time. Now they
No,
require
no
like
target
one,
listed, no distance listed, no qual listed, just shoot 99 or 98 rounds. I guess I was like, what? So you have 2 left over from your box of from your box of
but-
50?
Oh my gosh, people would look at us like,
I
what?
I know. There are some instructors I know of that they read it as they would only allow them to shoot 98 rounds. So
No more, no less.
people would go home with their 2 rounds. Anyway, it's
I
kind of cute.
believe that, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the training's key. And the training's going to change everything. If you take one class and then that's all you take,
Yeah.
it's not going to get you anywhere. So
We were talking about, I like that you introduce, Miss Sarah and I have been talking for a little while, and we were talking about curriculum development. And I love that you introduce your students early on to a little bit of Dunning-Kruger effect. Because like we were both saying, I was like, that's genius. Because oftentimes we take our first class, and I think some personality types feel like, yes, I know it all.
I got this.
Yeah. And then there are other personality types that might be your other people that are like, good Lord, I don't know anything. They mentioned all this stuff in the class. I got to go find out about that. But I think it's neat that you introduce that to them so that they know, hey, you might feel this way.
yeah, you need an
And-
idea of you need a community is
Yeah.
what you need. And joining a club also that can be super intimidating, but joining a club can be really helpful in getting you in that community and getting you can get buddies to
Yeah.
go do the
Shooting
same
your local
stuff with.
Glock League or, action pistol or whatever,
There's a lot
IDPA,
of
whatever.
resources.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff
Absolutely.
out there.
There are a lot of resources. I wish I had known about those resources. Can I go back on my question and say I wish there were more resources?
Yes, you can.
Because doing the competitions and joining the clubs and stuff, I didn't know most of that for years. So that would have been good information to have. And there's just, no matter where you are in the country, there's resources, there's things to do, there's videos, there's no excuse now.
Yeah, I actually thought, this is no joke, almost 20 years ago now, I actually thought that the gun club that I help out at, I thought it was only men allowed. Because I, a couple of times, pulled it in the parking lot to get up the gumption to go in and ask questions, and I only saw, I'd sit there for a while, and I would only see men coming and going, and I thought, gosh, maybe it is and there is a men's only athletic club in the town I live in, and so I thought it was like that. But
gonna break some laws.
Very few of them are men onlys, but you might be, if you're a lady, you might be one of the only ones. Nowadays, though, I think the Riley Bowman class in Spokane, It's like over half women
That's
that
so
are,
great.
and it'll
great.
probably end up being nearly all, which is really cool.
I am
It's
seeing a lot
different
of
now.
women coming into it. That's been one of the most gratifying things
Yes.
since I started instructing. It's only been 6 years now of officially instructing and seeing so many more women coming in and getting brave and doing it. Like a Girl and a Gun, Armed Women of America,
Yeah.
and having those resources has been such a big deal for getting women comfortable and into it. It's huge.
And there's a ton of like independent women's groups.
Yeah.
Like there's one just called Women of Caliber. The woman that leads that is unbelievable. She inspires me every time I see her.
So ranges will have little leagues
Yeah.
and clubs and local stuff. So if you don't want to do the big organization, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of options. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always call me. I'm
Yeah, so if you go on the bigger websites, like if you go to a Girl and a Gun and you don't see a chapter in your area, you can always join the, I think they call it, well, again, they call it the national chapter, whatever. But you can still be part of a Girl and a Gun and benefit from the resources. Also check with your local ranges and see if if you're looking for a women-specific group, because a lot of local ranges, I shouldn't say a lot, in my area, a number of them have women's groups that aren't affiliated. I don't know why they're not. I've tried to convince them to get affiliated.
Treasure Valley does not have one for Girl and a Gun.
It's
I tried
crazy.
to get it rolling, but gosh, there's not enough time in the day.
I
But
understand.
Hopefully,
It's an
hopefully someone
amazing-
will pick that one up.
Yeah, it's an amazing organization. Well, thank you for your time, Miss Sarah. Thanks for
you.
telling us about your journey to becoming
Thank
your
you for
own.
listening.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.